Let's celebrate 85 years of Batman with 5 must-read stories. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and Saturday, September 21st, 2024 is Batman Day. But this is not just any Batman Day. It's a special 85th anniversary Batman Day. That's right. Batman made his debut back in Detective Comics issue 27 all the way back in 1939. And in the 85 years since, there have been hundreds, thousands, millions, maybe not millions, of amazing Batman stories. We've seen him on the silver screen. We've seen him on your TV screens. I can't remember which one's silver. I think silver's the movies. We've seen him on TV. We've seen him in films. We've seen him in animation. We've seen him just about everywhere. But where his best stories are, in my opinion, is in the comics. And we've got 85 years of comic history, and there are bound to be a lot of amazing stories. And so today I want to shout out 5 stories that you may or may not be familiar with, but that I think are worthy of checking out this week or this year or anytime. If you're a new Batman fan, if you're an old Batman fan, here are some stories you should be checking for. Now, Batman Day, you should know, is a huge celebration. DC Comics actually puts out different reprints and facsimile editions and stuff like that. So it's a big celebration. So what you should do is find a local comic shop this Saturday, because there is likely going to be a sale, a discount, or some kind of celebration of Batman on the premises. Speaking of which, my local comic shop, Fight or Flight Comics, here in Raleigh, North Carolina, off Capitol Boulevard near Triangle Town Center Mall, they are going to be having a Batman Day sale. Everything Batman and Batman related. So yeah, Catwoman 2. Yeah, the Riddler 2. Yeah, sure, that Robin series with Joshua Williamson. That one too. Everything Batman and Batman related is buy 2, get 1 free all day on Saturday, September 21st. So go ahead. Their Instagram information is in the description down below, so you can follow them and see what all is going on. But don't meet me there. Beat me there, because Batman's always in high demand, and you don't want to miss any giveaways. So head up there. Now, let's get into 5 stories that I think are essential for fans of Batman. And I tried to make all 5 of these new reader friendly. So we're going to start off with Batman Ego. Batman Ego is written and drawn by Darwin Cook. I actually did a review of that story on the channel a while back, but basically it's original graphic novel. I want to say it was like 64 pages. So a really quick read, but it just talks about one night in the life of Bruce Wayne when he's out patrolling as Batman early in his career. He's trying to question a witness and ends up losing this witness. And that experience haunts him. And in that moment, Bruce Wayne is not sure if he can keep going as Batman. Is he causing more trouble than it's worth? Like, can he have these failures on his conscience? And so he might be thinking about hanging up the cape and cowl for good. And well, Batman has something to say about that. That's right. So if you were in the camp that says that Batman is the real identity and Bruce Wayne is the costume, this story might give you a little bit of fuel for that fire, a little ammo for that gun, if you will. But basically, in a nightmare sequence, Batman is sort of personified. And through those very short pages, you get this really sort of haunting tale of how Bruce Wayne sort of descends into madness and how psychologically he may cope with the idea of being Batman. It's a really interesting read, and the art is masterful. Darwin Cook, the late Darwin Cook, was a master of storytelling. He did Justice League: The New Frontier. He did some Catwoman stories. He's done a lot of things that were really good. But you might be a fan of him if you're a fan of people like Alex Toth or David Mazzucchelli, like the type of people that can tell all sorts of stories with as few lines as possible. It's really beautiful to look at, especially if you're a fan of like classic animation, stuff like that. It'll remind you of that. Just nice golden era stuff. But anyway, Batman Ego. is the first one we're going to spotlight. Now, next up on the list is a little bit more recent. This is Batman R.I.P. Batman R.I.P. This is from the Grant Morrison run on Batman. And basically, if Batman Ego tells a story super early in Batman's career, Batman R.I.P. tells a story that's a little bit later in his career. This is after, he finds out about his son, Damian Wayne, and he's trying to like sort of settle into parenthood. He's trying to date and he's trying to be Batman. And when someone close to him betrays him, Batman is found in a super, super compromising position. And we think it might be the end. And as Batman is being tortured, we slowly learn that Batman has a cure for everything. And there's an instance where we find out basically that Bruce Wayne has created a backup of his brain to sort of flip the switch in case of emergency. And I'm being kind of vague in how I say it just because I don't want to spoil anything for the story. But Grant Morrison is largely credited as the guy who created the sort of Bat God that we know today, where any problem with enough prep time, Batman can solve it. And while he kind of started that during his JLA run back in the 90s, this really takes that up a notch. And it's just like, wow. Now, what's really cool is the current writer of Batman, Chip Zdarsky, is picking up on threads that were sort of seeded and planted here, and has kind of redone a little bit of that, or revamped a little bit of that idea for a new sort of generation of storytelling. So really, really cool stuff. So if you want to read about how Batman backed his mind up, then read Batman R.I.P. And if you want to hear more about sort of the reverberations from that decision, check out Chip Zdarsky's Batman. It starts with issue 125, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's 118 to 125 of the Failsafe story arc. Just grab the hardcover volume 1. It'll be available at your LCS. Very, very good reading. So check that out. Next up, I guess this is number 3 on the list, even though these are no particular order. We're going to look at JLA Tower of Babel. Now, I just talked about the Grant Morrison run on Justice League, and during that run of Justice League, he basically decided that, hey, all the superstars at DC need to be on the Justice League. Justice League shouldn't be like some second tier title. And so he establishes like this sort of really great league with, Kyle Rayner as Green Lantern and the Martian Manhunter and Wonder Woman and Superman and Batman, of course. And, that run is that run. This story, Tower of Babel, is actually Mark Waid's debut on the title. Where I think he just takes over for a short arc, actually. But this story, man, is written by Mark Waid with art by Howard Porter, mostly. And this is the story. If you ever seen the movie Justice League Doom, which was written or adapted by Dwayne McDuffie, it's an adaptation of this story. In it, basically Batman is taken advantage of. Like I said, Grant Morrison created this idea that Batman, with enough prep time, could do anything. And we find out in this story that Batman has been keeping contingency plans against every member of the Justice League. And it doesn't go well. Someone takes advantage of that. Someone finds those contingency plans and uses them to incapacitate the Justice League while trying to take over the world. And it's a really great story about sort of the fallacy of Batman, or the fallibility of Batman, right? Like, if Batman's got all this prep time and he's so smart, he's so strategic and whatever, the sort of downside to that ego and the preparedness, and basically what happens when he betrays his team and how do they recover from that. So it's really cool to see that like Batman being so prepared is a fault. And it's also really cool to see how they overcome it as a team to be better. So JLA Tower of Babel is one of my favorite Batman stories, and it's technically not a Batman story. It's a Justice League story. But that's number 3. At number 2, is Batman, The Court of Owls. The Court of Owls is written by Scott Snyder with art by Greg Capullo, and that is their debut story arc during the New 52 era of Batman. So it relaunches Batman with Batman #1 from 2011, and issues 1 through 6 is this storyline where Bruce Wayne has been Batman for like 5 years. So he's a pretty competent Batman, and he's pretty arrogant in ways. Like, he thinks he knows everything there is to know about Gotham. There's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Batman. Well, turns out he doesn't know everything about Gotham, because there's been a secret society that has been operating in Gotham for decades, if not centuries, all the way back into ancient times. And he thought it was just, nursery tales and folklore, but it's the real deal. And when he finds himself in the crosshairs of the Court of Owls, well, all owl breaks loose. So it's crazy. What I like about this is one, Greg Capullo's art is amazing, and the story is amazing. It's a sort of horror tinged Batman story. And this really gets into like the mental anguish of thinking you know something and realizing you know nothing. There's a sequence where, like, in order to read the story, you've got to actually physically turn the pages in the book and or turn the book around like clockwise. And it's crazy. It really illustrates that descent into madness in such a great way. In a lot of ways, it's similar to Batman Ego in some of the things that it makes you feel, even though the story and tone are very different from each other. So at #2 is Batman, the Court of Owls. Definitely essential reading if you're trying to get into Batman. And the last book I want to showcase today, I could literally do 5 different top 5 lists of Batman stories because there are so many great ones, and I'm such a big Batman fan. But at #1, my #1 recommendation, if you've never read this story, is Batman, The Long Halloween. The Long Halloween is written by Jeff Loeb with art by Tim Sale. They were a superstar creative team until Tim Sale's untimely passing just a couple of years ago. But The Long Halloween is basically is Batman in the detective seat. And I love detective Batman. Like, sure, space fighting Batman, skydiving from the moon Batman, all that's cool. But give me a back to basics Batman in the Batcave going over clues with Alfred. Like, hey, what am I missing here? That's the Batman that I love. Maybe because I love the animated series so much. But Batman, The Long Halloween basically is about this killer that only strikes on holidays. And so we start off with New Year's and we go all the way to Christmas. If I remember correctly, maybe it starts at Halloween, but either way, we go through all of a major holiday of every month. There's a Father's Day issue. There's a Halloween issue. There's a Valentine's Day issue. But as this killer is striking on each holiday, Batman is trying to figure out who in his rogues gallery this killer is, or if it's someone in his rogues gallery at all. And so each issue does a great job of showcasing one member of the rogues family. So the Joker and Catwoman and the Riddler and Poison Ivy, like, all make appearances and more. There's 12 of them. So all these people make appearances. And while it's still sort of telling this story of Batman trying to figure out who the calendar killer is, we also get a story of Gotham changing. This is another story that's set early in Batman's career. So if Batman Year One by Frank Miller was year 1, I would say Batman Ego is somewhere in year 2. And Batman The Long Halloween is probably Batman Year 3. And during those earlier stories, the big bad is like the mob, like, Falcone and Maroni and crime bosses and corrupt government officials. Like, those are the types of things that Batman is up against in Gotham. In The Long Halloween, it really sort of showcases the changing of the guard, where the mafia might have had a stronghold back in the day, where organized crime might have had the stronghold back in the day. Well, now we are fully in the era of costumed villains, and Batman has to answer for himself. Like, am I the problem? Like, me flying around in a costume, or jumping around in a costume, does that invite these supervillains? Does that invite the crime? Does that invite the terror that Gotham is facing? Or am I really a symbol of hope and something that's needed here? So Batman going through this while going on this detective mystery, while we're watching the mob react to these super villains, is just a really well done story. If you're talking about Jeff Loeb, a lot of times people will point to Hush as a great story for new readers. And while I agree that the Jim Lee art is amazing, something about The Long Halloween is just timeless. And Tim Sale's really like stylized art approach, where Batman is always the scariest thing on the page, it's chef's kiss. I love to revisit this story. As a matter of fact, that might be what I do this weekend. I'm going to reread The Long Halloween. Let me know, though, what are your favorite Batman stories? Like I said, it's Batman Day, so you can go to any comic shop right now, and most of the books that I just named will be available in trade paperback, and you could probably get a good deal on them. And a bunch of other stories that I haven't even touched on. With The Long Halloween, they actually are creating a sequel to The Long Halloween that's written by Jeff Loeb and is done with art by all of Tim Sale's favorite artists since he passed away. So it's like a tribute. It's called The Last Halloween. And there's a prologue issue that is in stores right now with art by Tim Sale. It's Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale's final collaboration. So you can find that at your local comic shop. Like I said, if you're in Raleigh, just come over to Fight or Flight Comics over near Triangle Town Center Mall. I'm sure they've got plenty of copies and a bunch of other trade paperbacks, omnibus, all sorts of limited editions, figures, all sorts of stuff. And it's all buy two, get one free. So with that, I will leave you to read your own Batman stories. Let me know your favorites in the comments down below. And until next time, stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.